Dear students, welcome to everybody in my second class on modifiers. Previously, I discussed about modifiers, its classification, how you will use modifier in a sentences, and how a modifier will be given for you in the examination, and what kind of modifiers there are we have, and what kind of modifiers you have to know and you have to learn. And I also say to you that in my next class, that means today, I will discuss about the different modifiers and its classification part by part in briefly. Let's see what types of modifiers we are and how they are used in the sentences. Actually, when in the previous class I told you that now we have two kind of modifiers, pre-modifiers and post-modifiers. So when a modifier sits before a word and modify his next word, and this kinds of modifier is called pre-modifier. But when a modifier sits after a word and modify his previous words, and these kinds of modifier are called the post modifiers. Actually, we know that our pre-modifiers are apposition, noun adjective, participle phrase, past participle phrase, present participle phrase, determiners, and so on, even intensifier. And we also know that we have a large number of post modifiers, that means relative clause, apposition, adjective, adverb, adjective phrase, adverbial phrase, even prepositional phrase, and so on. So today we will discuss about the modifiers from the beginning. Let's see in the board. Here I have written a modifier, apposition or noun in apposition. Actually, apposition or noun in apposition is one kind of phrase, and these kinds of modifiers always post modify a noun, and this is a combination of the word. There is no finite verbs or any subjects. Let's see in the sentences. Here I have written two sentences. Bongobandhu was born in Tungipara. In this sentence we use the father of our nation, which is an extra phrase that is used for the extra information about Bongobandhu. And in this phrase there is no subject, no verb, and this is a noun phrase. This kind of phrase always post modify the noun. Here the father of our nation, it is an extra phrase that post modify the previous noun Bongobandhu. Next sentence, Kazi Nazrul Islam, our national poet, was a rebel poet. Dear student, in this sentence, the main sentence is Kazi Nazrul Islam was a rebel poet, and in this sentence we also use another apposition. That means our national poet. Our national poet is an extra phrase that is used for the extra information about Kazi Nazrul Islam, the previous noun, and this is the noun phrase. This is an apposition which post modify the previous noun Kazi Nazrul Islam. Dear students, let me see the next sentence. I want to meet Nazmul Hussain, the principal of the college. Here the main sentence is I want to meet Nazmul Hussain. This is the main sentence, and here apposition is used at the end of the sentence. Here is the apposition, the principal of the college, and this is the extra information about the Nazmul Hussain, for identify him, for information or for his identification. This phrase is used to post modify the Nazmul Hussain, and this is an apposition phrase, and it is a noun phrase which post modify the Nazmul Hussain. So we have understood that we have many apposition in the sentences. They are used in your text, in your question paper. You have to use this apposition when you are asked to use the apposition, and you have to think about the apposition. That when you will make an apposition, you have to think that this will be a perfect sense or appropriate meaning that delivered about the noun, for which noun you will use the apposition. Dear student, nextly, relative clause. Student, relative clause is one kind of clause. What is clause? If we ask you, a clause is a part of a sentence, and relative clause means when a relative pronoun makes a clause in a sentences, actually in a complex sentences, then it is called a relative clause. A relative clause may occur from the beginning: who, which, that, when, whose, where. This is the relative pronoun we know. And when a relative pronoun make a clause in a complex sentence, then it will be called a relative clause. A relative clause always post modify his previous noun. Apposition and relative clause play the same roles and action in a sentences. We have already known that apposition always post modify its previous noun, and relative clause also post modify in previous noun. Both are do same action in a sentences, but structurally these two kinds of modifiers are differ from one another, because an apposition is a phrase. We know phrase is just a combination of some words. There is no verb, no subject. But a relative clause is a clause. That means we call it a sentences. Here is a subject and verb. Let's look at the board and try to understand. Relative clause. Nelson Mandela, who is the greatest leader of the world, wanted a free nation. This is a complex sentence. Here are two clauses. One is the main clause and one is a subordinate clause. Let's identify the clause. Who is the greatest leader of the world? This is the subordinate clause. The main clause is Nelson Mandela wanted a free nation. When in these sentences a relative clause has been included, who is the greatest leader of the world, for the better information about Nelson Mandela, the previous noun, and this kind of clause is post modifier, and this is a relative clause which post modify Nelson Mandela. Similarly, in the next sentence, Gitanjali, which is the most famous book. This is also a complex sentence. Let's try to identify the subordinate clause. Which is the most famous book? This is the subordinate clause. The main clause is Gitanjali was written by Rabindranath. And here, which is the most famous book? This is a relative clause. Start with the relative pronoun which. It is subject and there is a verb is, and this clause has been used here for the better information and for the proper information about Gitanjali. And this kind of clause always post modify its previous noun, Gitanjali. Dear students, now we will discuss about adjective. You know, adjective is a kind of persophrase, and in my previous class I told you that adjective is used as a pre-modify and as a post-modify, and both action one adjective can do. And we know that adjective is a kind of words which give an extra information quality, quantity or state about a noun. And we have a large number of adjectives in our dictionary, and I have written here some adjectives for your clear identification: strong, beautiful, brave, interesting, honest, talented. And also we have a large number of adjectives so in our dictionary we know, in our English language we know, and this kind of adjective you have to use. But which is the question, what adjective you have to use in the sentences? Depending on the meaning of the sentences, which adjective is required, you think this adjective have to be used depending on the meaning, only depending on the meaning. Let's see in the sentences. Mr. Rahman is an honest man. In these sentences there is an adjective honest. The honest is an adjective word that's pre-modified his next word man. This is a noun. That means we also able to know here that an adjective pre-modify a noun. If we see the next sentence, the boy is very brilliant. In this sentence I have used another adjective, brilliant. It is an adjective word, and this adjective is an predicative use of adjective because he didn't require noun. He post modified his previous noun boy. That means honest is an adjective word and he pre-modified his next noun, but brilliant also is an adjective, he post modified his previous noun. And like this an adjective can pre-modify and can post modify. Let's see the next, noun adjective. What is noun adjective? Dear student, is very simple. When a noun sits before another noun for clarifying the meaning or for giving the better information or real information about the noun, then the previous noun will be called the noun adjective. Here I have written some noun adjective: bookstall, college student, bus station, classroom. And like this we have a large number of noun adjective. We can see ceiling fan, English book, college dress, table fan, and so on. And a noun adjective is a pre-modifier. He cannot post modify. It cannot post modify. It always pre-modify. Let's see the sentences. I have written here two sentences. We saw here many seabirds. Here seabirds. Here is a two noun, sea and birds. But when sea sits before the birds, this words pre-modify the birds, and this is a noun. This is called a noun adjective. If we see the next sentence, I like cricket match. The students, here cricket is a noun adjective which pre-modified is next noun match. So from here we can see a noun adjective always pre-modify his next word or next noun. But what kind of noun adjective you will use in the sentences? Again, I can remind you that what kind of adjective is needed based on the meaning of the sentences, and this kind of adjective you have to be used. If the adjective is not appropriate according to the meaning, your answer will be wrong. So at first you have tried to understand the meaning of the sentences of the text, what is said here and what kind of words require, and like this kind of words you have to use. Yes student, now I am telling about you adverb. Adverb is a one kind of persuasive we know. which expresses uh, the actions when, where, how occur, the actions of verb when, where, how occur. And we know basically adverb is formed with adjective adding ly, and an adverb can modify adjective, and an adverb can modify another adverb. An adverb can modify the whole sentences. Actually, adverb plays a very important role in a sentences, and it gives the informations about the verb of the sentences and tells something about the verb. We know a large number of adverbs we have in our syllabus, in our dictionary, or in our English language. Here I have written some adverbs. Let's see at the board. Seriously, normally, beautifully, honestly, calmly. Actually, these kinds of adverbs are formed with adding ly with adjective, and there are also adverbs we have that yesterday, now, then, ago, once, here, there, and these kinds of words are also adverb we know. An adverb can pre-modify and can post-modify. Look at the sentence. He came here silently. Here, silently is an adverb word, and this silently post-modify the verb came. In these sentences, he is seriously ill. Here, seriously is an adverb word. This word pre-modify the adjective ill. Generally, he makes a good result. In this sentence, generally is an adverb, and this adverb pre-modify the whole sentences. The last sentence, I am seriously doing it. Here, seriously, surely is an adverb, and this adverb pre-modify the noun do. From here, we can I can clear you that adverb can pre-modify, can post-modify, and adverb can modify a verb, an adjective, an adverb, even if a whole sentences. Next, intensifier. Intensifier, only some words. There are not a large number of words here. I can say only some words or few words that place the rules of intensifier, that increase or decrease the degree of the adjective. The rules of an intensifier is specially to increase or decrease the degree of an adjective, and the intensifiers very, so, true, enough, totally, extremely, fully. These kinds of words are the intensifier. Mostly in your text, in your question, you will be find the uses of very. So when we solve the question paper, we think this intensifier very is mostly used. So you can first think about this intensifier very. Then if it is not suitable with the meaning of the sentences or with the meaning of the text, then you can think about the next adverbs, next intensifiers. Now we will discuss about determiner. Determiner, we know in our previous class I told you that determiner means article, determiner means possessive, quantifier, demonstrative, determiners means numerals, and numbers. All are called the determiners. But when you will be asked to use a determiner, you have to think about all kinds of determiners. But sometimes you are asked to use particularly possessive, particularly articles, particularly quantifier, particularly demonstratives, then you will be clear that you have to use possessive. Now I have written here some sentences using all the determinants. Bangladesh is a small country. Here is article which pre-modify the noun. The next sentences, I have a lot of friends. Here a lot of is a quantifier and this is a determinant quantifier, and this pre-modify the next noun friends. He is our bride. Here our is a determiner and this is possessive. We know that have some possessive our, his, her, their. Okay, our pre-modify the next noun pride. This book is very nice. Here is this is a determiner. This is the this is called the demonstrative. In this section we have these, those, that, these kinds of determiner, and this demonstrative pre-modify the next noun book. I am the first boy. Here first is a determiner. This is called a number, first, second, third, fourth, all these all are the determiners, and this first word, but this determiner pre-modify the next word, next noun boy. Lastly, the last sentence, I have brought two books. Here two is also a number word, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are called also determiner, and this determiner pre-modify the noun books. From this discussion we have able to know that all kinds of determiners always pre-modify, they never post-modify. Okay, dear student, now I am talking about infinitive. Infinitive is a kind of modifier who is post-modify the verb. It is always post-modify. Infinitive is formed with adding to before a verb. We have a large number of verbs in our language. If we add two preposition before a verb and place the role of a non-finite verb in a sentences, then it is called an infinitive. Here I have written some infinitive: to go, to come, to play, to do, to eat. Let's see the sentence. We went to the market to buy some books. Here to buy is an infinitive which post modify the previous verb when. It is very simple. When you are asked to use an infinitive, you have to guess the meaning of the sentences, and according to the meaning which verb is required, with the meaning you have to use the verb adding before to, making an infinitive. Present participle. Present participle also a non-finite verb which plays the roles of adjective and a verb at the same time in a sentences, but it is not the main verb. Okay, we make present participle adding ing after the verb. Look at the board. I have written some present participle adding ing. We can adding ing with every verb without the auxiliary verb and making present participle them, like flying, moving, walking, sleeping. I have written two sentences here. I saw a flying bird. Here flying is a present participle that plays the role of an adjective giving some information, telling something about the bird. That bird was flying, and this plays the roles of adjective sitting before the noun. At the same time, this flying bird is showing an action. Here this flying is a present participle and it is a pre-modifier. Okay, present participle is a modifier which plays the roles a verb as well as an adjective. As an adjective, it can use in two ways. It can use as a pre-modifier, it can be used as a post-modifier. In the next sentence, if we see, I found him walking. Here walking is also a present participle, but it is not the post-modifier. It is not the pre-modifier. It is the post-modifier. In this walking, post-modify the pronoun him. So we see here that a present participle can pre-modify, a present participle can post-modify. As the same way, past participle does the same roles of a sentence like a present participle. It plays the roles an adjective as well as a verb in a sentences, and we can make the past participle with transforming every verb in past participle from like injured, broken, burnt, written. This all kind of past participle command. I am again saying that a present participle and a past participle plays two roles in a sentences. It plays as a role of adjective as well as a verb. So it can be used as a pre-modifier, as a post-modifier. Let's see the sentences. He gave me a broken glass. Here, broken, it is a past participle, it is a pre-modifier, and pre-modify the next noun glass. And the next sentences, I found him seriously injured. Here injured is a past participle and it is a post modifier. It is an adjective as well as a verb, but it is non-finite verb. It's post modify the pronoun him. It's very simple. Next, infinitive phrase. We already know infinitive is formed adding to before the verb, and infinitive phrase, infinitive plus extra. When we need an extra word with the infinitive for the meaning of the sentences, for the complete sense of the sentences, then we use extra word with the infinitive, and this two or three or more words will be called the infinitive phrase. Look at the sentences. The boy came here to meet. To meet is an infinitive, but to meet cannot express the complete sense of the sentences. The boy came here to meet. So I need some words with me. When for complete sense with to meet, I have added more two words with me, with and me, and this words, combination of words makes a phrase, and this is called infinitive phrase because it starts with an infinitive. It's very simple. Dear student, we are at the last step of modifiers. Now we will talk about phrase. Here I have written that adjective phrase, prepositional phrase, adverbial phrase, and participle phrase. You know, a phrase means a combination of words which express a clear sense about the sentences. When we cannot complete the sentences in a word, particularly in a perspective, then we take a phrase. A phrase is very important, and its uses is also very interesting. Firstly, if I say about the adjective phrase in a words, when a combination of words or a phrase act like an adjective, then it is called an adjective phrase. Let's see the sentence. He is the student's good at all subject. Here, good at all subjects. This phrase is an adjective phrase. In a word, when a phrase play the roles like an adjective in a sentence, then it will be called an adjective phrase. At the same way, prepositional phrase. If I can draw the definition of this phrase, when a phrase, a combination of words, plays the roles of preposition in a sentences, then it is called a prepositional phrase. Look at the sentence. I have a beautiful garden in front of. Here, in front of my home. In front of is a prepositional phrase. Actually, phrase always post modify. Here, go that, it is adjective phrase. So post modify is previous noun. In front of is a prepositional phrase. Post modify is previous noun. Then adverbial phrase. At the same way, when a phrase or combination of words or plays the roles of an adverb in a sentence, then it will be called the adverbial phrase. I found him sitting silently beside the tree. Sitting silently beside the tree. Here the main word in this phrase is the silently, and with this adverb I have taken some words for the complete sense of the sentences. So this combination of words make the phrase, and it starts with an adverb and acts like an adverb, so it is an adverbial phrase which post modify the previous verb. Sit. Participle phrase. We know participle are two kinds, present participle and past participle. So participle phrase are also two kinds, present participle phrase, past participle phrase. He is the man walking. We know adding ing with a verb we make a present participle from, and when we need more words with a present participle, it will be called the present participle phrase. It is an adjective as well as verb, so it post modifies its previous noun. This is the car made in Japan. We know when we make a past participle, we transport the verb with the past participle form. Here, made in Japan. With the past participle form of verb made, I have taken some more words for the complete sense, and this is the past participle phrase. Past participle phrase also post modify his previous noun, because past participle and present participle all both acts as an adjective and as a verb. So dear student, today I am drawing the finishing of the class, and the next class we will try to solve the question paper, and we will try to make our best practice. Without practice, to do better in the modifier is not at all possible. So you have to more and more practice modifier in your text and solve the question paper. Till then, be happy.